It is my belief that any dish will only be as good as the worst quality ingredient that you put in there. So if you have a great contents of a taco and you put it on a tortilla that breaks, on a tortilla that tastes like cardboard, on a tortilla that doesn't add to it, you just diminish the entire dish.
Welcome back to the Dine 16, a Sacramento food podcast. I'm your host, Max Connor, joined by my co-host, Neill Little. We take you behind the scenes of the restaurateurs, chefs, farmers, whoever's making it happen here locally in the food community. And we are glad to be back in full force after some sort of personal life changes. Things have held us up for a few months to really get rolling. But we are back, Neill. We are back with a big guest that we'll get to here in a moment. But before we do, what's been going on with you? You had a rather large birthday, I think.
I am finally an adult. I am 40 years old now, so I have finally.
It's questionable.
Well, that's exactly what every single person has said. It was like, well, you're close. So yeah, no, I had a birthday this last month, which was a lot of fun. A lot of traveling, going to Tahoe, going out to Bodega Bay, things like that. So it has been busy but fun. So, as Max mentioned, thank you for your patience on us getting our podcast out to you guys. How has your 4th of July and June treated you, good sir?
It's been good so far. The usual, lots of good food, plenty of time with family. We got a new puppy in the house, so that takes up a lot of time. But all the same stuff. Busy with kids, trying to eat as much good food as I can.
Life is just a response to that sometimes. Like, oh, okay, I understand. Like, life is just busy. But as I mentioned, I had been traveling a lot, and with this guest coming out, which I consider one of our biggest guests that we've had on here, and one that was very excited to have on, this guest actually has a brand new, I don't want to say concept or restaurant, but location, as we have Patricio from Nick's Taco, and I don't know how many people know it, but they actually have one of the newest stands in the Sacramento airport. So if you guys are craving the most delicious tacos in town, in my personal opinion, you can either go to Folsom, Roseville, or fly out of the airport now.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, they've been doing cool things at the airport with local food, but having Nick's Taco there, One Speed Pizza's coming in soon, Bach Chicken, but Nick's Taco, as we saw, is officially open in the airport. So hey, if you hear this and you never make your way out to Roseville or Folsom, but you do often fly southwest, jump over, and now you can enjoy Nick's Taco at the airport. Pretty exciting. And as you said, I mean, there's probably a top 10 guest when we first started this show, and Patricio was firmly in that top 10 of like, that dude would be awesome to hear. And then, as you're about to hear in a moment, his story, unbelievable. I mean, just nothing like you would have expected if you don't know it, if you haven't read a big piece of press about his story. Did not come from your sort of traditional food background whatsoever, and it was absolutely fascinating. I can't wait to share it.
Definitely had the most jarring moment that I've heard on this podcast, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is some man on fire stuff in this episode.
No doubt. Well, let's not jabber on anymore. Let's just jump into the episode with Patricio Wise from Nick's Taco. Patricio Wise, thank you so much for being here. We are really excited to have you on the Dine 16.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Our first question is always just, what was food like for you growing up? What was food like in the home?
So I come from a big family. I have 5 siblings. Well, I don't know if you'd consider that a big family, but I had 5 siblings.
Yeah.
And I'm the youngest of them. So by the time I was of enough age, they were all either married or had kids. So it was a big group that would gather every Sunday. And it's very common in Mexico. We say, let's make a carne asada. It's not just about making grilled steak. It's about the event, right?
Yeah.
And that was every Sunday after Mass. I grew up Catholic. And it's the whole process of starting up the fire and marinating the meat, making the guacamole, making the pico de gallo, making the quesadillas, packing the sausages, making everything that you're going to need to then gather around the grill pretty much on the patio and just cook a late lunch. That's the household aspect. My mom would cook, my grandma would cook, my aunts would cook, make tamales, make all sorts of homemade Mexican meals. And then on the restaurant side, you have the typical dish of Monterrey, which is el cabrito. These are big restaurants that have open fire cooking, and you see the goats pretty much al pastor style, which means they're crucified, and it's a very visual thing. And I remember when I was a kid and I first saw it, I was like, "Whoa, cool! What's that?" And and these were like special occasion places. A lot of families, instead of doing the carne asada ritual like we did, they would just go out to one of these places, and that's pretty much it. I mean, everything else was tacos on the street, and there's typical morning tacos that we call them, tacos mañaneros, and then there's the evening tacos, which are different. But that's pretty much what I grew up eating on a regular daily basis.
Oh,
that was the quickest I've ever been hungry in this podcast.
New record.
The moment you talking about carne asada and the grill and the pico de gallo, I'm like, yep, and I'm hungry. There we are.
Yeah,
like,
there's always a moment in the podcast where we go, and I'm now starving.
Yeah.
And that was about 3 sentences in.
So you talked about your family. Was your mom... Was she a cook as well as other things, or was she a professional woman, mother, and then cook as well?
No, she was a homemaker, but in that she was in charge of
feeding a family of 7.
Exactly, feeding a family. And then I remember very vividly how she would cook the corn at night to nixtamalize it, and then bring it to the mill in the morning, and then do the groceries, and then pick up the masa for the day's tortillas. And that all died eventually when Maseca came in and they installed tortillerias in the supermarkets.
Oh.
So now you didn't have to cook the corn. You didn't have to go to the mill. You didn't have to make your own tortillas. You could just do the groceries and pick up freshly made tortillas from Maseca, which I don't really like. But and that pretty much killed all the mills, killed the tradition of eating freshly nixtamalized and ground tortilla products at the homes. And that's part of the inspiration that I had for Nick's Taco. That's why the name.
Of course, yeah.
So what is that process? Elaborate on that for me if you can.
So the process of nixtamalization is millennia old. It's really about cooking the corn in an alkaline solution that you acquire by adding slaked lime to the water. And you cook it for about an hour. And then you let it steep for you do it overnight for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then you rinse it a little bit and you grind it. And instead of getting grits, which you would if you simply cooked corn and grind it, you get a cohesive dough, which we call masa. And with that, you can make tortillas, sopes, empanadas, whatever you.
Yeah.
So does all masa that you see for the tortillas, does it go through that process, or is that a regionalized thing?
No, it's Mesoamerican.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But all the tortillas that we make at the restaurants, we cook the corn and we grind it in-house fresh throughout the days, so that it's as fresh as possible.
Do you remember when your mom started bringing home store-bought tortillas, and do you remember thinking like, he sucks?
He's got the date in his head. Like
I switched to flour tortillas. I really don't like them, and they break, and the flavor is just. That's unfortunate. I compare them to cardboard.
Yeah, sure.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, it's like a boboli pizza dough instead of making real pizza, right? Like, it's that far off. If you go to Nick's Taco that's the first thing you notice when you bite into the taco. It's just like, oh, this is what's going on with this tortilla. Yeah. Like this is
the smell walking in. You just smell. Yeah.
All right, we'll get there.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit before we got on the mics. Tell us a little bit about your journey to deciding to become a chef. Did you work in food sort of as a young kid in high school? Did you start jumping in and helping in the kitchen at home on those Sundays, or when did the idea of you cooking start to become a thing?
Yes to all.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did work in restaurants, not in the kitchen, but in the bar. I meddled in the kitchen a little bit, but there was more money in the bar, so we'd stay at the bar. And yes, I would cook at my house, help my dad on the carne asada situation, on the family gatherings. We celebrated Thanksgiving, so then there's a turkey to stuff and baste and everything. The same with Christmas and Father's Day and Mother's Day. And so any excuse to get together, really. Family is very big.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be a chef. Like, the whole idea really inspired me. And when my dad asked me, so what are you going to study? And I said, well, I really want to be a chef. He said, well, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. And I was surprised because it was I knew that it was expected that I picked a professional path through university. And he said, yeah, you can do whatever you want. But first you're going to university, so pick something. And I picked finance. It was a 9-semester program. the first 4 semesters, I still did what I was doing as hobbies. I was rock climbing and river guiding, and I would finance these trips by working as a bartender at this local brewery, of all places. And after 4th semester, I got a summer job at a bank that, funny enough, kind of like my dad got for me, because he was tired of me being lost in the mountains or in the river or whatever, and not doing what I was supposed to be doing. So I didn't show up, and I got in trouble. It turns out the original owner of the bank was a friend of my dad, and he kind of like did it as a favor. I'm like, yeah, have him come work here in the summer. I mean, I feel horrible telling this story because anyways, it was just supposed to be for the summer, and I kind of had to do it because, well, there was this favor on the table, right?
Yeah.
And I really got in trouble with my dad for not going that first day, like not even showing up for the interview. So yeah, I really didn't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I mean, anyway, so after all said and done, the bank's undergoing this restructuring situation because the treasurer had a heart attack, and they bring in a new director, and this new director, who I'm very good friends with to this day, my cubicle was right outside of his office. So he thought I was his assistant, and he just started using me for everything. I mean, he was also new, and he was restructuring the entire trading program of the bank. This is in the treasury, right? And I started writing all these reports, and I had no idea. I mean, I was just out of 4th semester, but I made it happen. I mean, the Banco de Mexico has all the circulars that you can read, and this is how this works, this is how that works, the same with the Fed. And so he moves me onto the trading floor. And I'm like, all right, wow, I don't even have licenses for this, but cool.
I'm not going to say anything.
So when the summer is over, I go into his office to thank him and to say goodbye. And he's like, wait, where are you going? I'm like, well, back to school. Like, what do you mean back to school? Yeah, I'm going into 5th semester now. He's like, no, you're not going anywhere. I'll give you a full-time job. I'm like, yeah, I have 5 semesters to go.
Yeah.
I really liked it though. So and it was a really good offer for somebody my age at that level in their career, right? So I went back to the university, and at the time I was the vice president of the student association for the finance major. And I was really close with the director. So or the vice dean, whatever you want to call him. I go to him and I say, I have this opportunity, and I've rearranged all of the classes that I still have to take, and I can make it work if you remove all of the prerequisites for all the classes, and I can come to 6 a.m. class and then go to work and then come to 6 p.m. class every day. I talked him into it, and he did it, and it was very, very busy next 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I worked full-time at the bank and went full-time to university.
So you're 21 at this point?
Yeah.
God, way more mature than I was at that age.
Yeah, so by the time I graduated, I had a really, really good position at a different bank now. I got an offer to go do a new project. So the cooking kind of like laid on the side.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I get married, and I get married in 2008, and at this time, the security in Monterrey was very bad because of the cartels. So people stopped going out. Restaurants started going out of business. There was no nightlife whatsoever. It used to be that you could go to a nightclub and come out at 8 a.m. and a cop would give you a ride home. It was awesome.
A community,
Yeah.
Yeah. All that died. So, and we were newlyweds, and we lived in this new development that is now within the city limits, but it was on the outskirts. It was a completely new area.
Mm-hmm.
So we started hosting these supper clubs, and I'm like, all right, I'll get back into cooking again. I'll start practicing. So I get the French Laundry Cookbook and the CIA's, the Culinary Institute of America, Culinary Handbook, and Alinia's Cookbook. And I started getting all these books, right? And I started reading and I started practicing. And I call my friends, or a group of friends who are also not going out because of the same situation. And I'm like, I want to start this thing like a supper club. Like once a month we get together and I cook a 10-course dinner, and I speak to a sommelier to recommend wine pairings. And you guys just chip in to pay for the costs. We get a waiter, and we have our own private restaurant here. And that evolved into a weekly thing.
Wow.
And then that evolved into a restaurant.
That's so cool.
It was
10 courses.
It was super cool. Yeah, we had a wait list, and the rule was that new people had to come with somebody that we knew. and they were responsible for them because there was a lot of wine and cocktails. So, I mean, we saw some issues.
No, absolutely. No, but I love the sense of, I mean, at De Vere's for the longest time, you couldn't get hired there unless someone there knew you. It's a sense of accountability.
Yeah, it's...
now, this is the town you grew up in, too.
This is the town that...
So, I mean, these are old friends.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, that evolved into a restaurant, and then we opened the restaurant, and I was working full time, and then I would go to the restaurant. But at my work, because of what I did, I was a market maker for a very specific niche market. I would be off at like 3.
Oh,
yeah. So that was a perfect time just to go into the restaurant.
So were you the chef, and you were like, how many people did you hire to cook the food or get ahead of time, or were you
I was
doing a lot of heavy
chef,
lifting?
And we had chef de cuisine and a couple of sous chefs and a couple of line cooks.
Wow.
It was any regular
restaurant.
What type of restaurant was it?
It was a seafood and steakhouse.
Okay.
Yeah, very hybridized with northeastern Mexican flavors. It wasn't a Morton's copy or something like that.
No.
Right.
We had 2 big green eggs in the kitchen, and we'd cook 2-inch ribeyes and stuff like that. But again, the people weren't ready for that. The people of Monterrey, they grew up eating well-done skirt steak.
Sure.
Which is neither thick nor red. So we had some issues with the concept being accepted. By the time it was starting to get accepted, I had gotten a job offer in California. So here we are. Closed the restaurant, sold it off, and moved out.
Wow.
And then what year was that when you moved up here?
2010.
Okay. And you moved to Roseville, Sacramento. What?
Straight to Roseville.
How did that dart find that town for you from?
So, like I said, I was market making for global macro products, interest rates, currencies, commodities. And I was looking to get out of Monterrey again. The insecurity continued to be pretty bad at this time. And we had a security meeting with the company. We all thought we were going to get bodyguards assigned.
Jesus.
And instead, it was more of a consultancy to let us know what to do in case of a kidnapping, because kidnappings had gotten pretty bad. And the problem was that the cartels knew how to kidnap, safeguard, collect, and return you.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I mean, it sounds horrible, but at least they know what they're doing. There started to be a lot of copycats that are not trained.
Yeah.
So people started to not return after ransoms were paid because they didn't know how to. They didn't know how to do that, and it was a thing that you live with. So I'm like, yeah, I want out. And pretty much at this consultancy, what they said is, well, these are the statistics, and if you ever are involved in a sort of kidnapping, just don't let them take you. I'm like, that sounds easy.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, no, this is for real. Like, it's better for you to die on the spot.
Oh my God. I can't even fathom that conversation.
Yeah. And the reasoning was like, if you do get taken, your family's you're going to suffer. Your family's going to suffer. Your family's going to be out of money, and they're still going to kill you.
Holy cow.
That's a cheery. Wow. That's a cheery. And this is a work conversation, less.
This is I think it was part of the insurance that they needed to.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so
the job offer here was in finance as well, and sort of a similar
it was also
market.
in finance for a local trader that deals globally, and they needed somebody to manufacture the products that I was manufacturing to sell to companies like that, and they were using a local bank that was very expensive. I mean, that's sophisticated finance. So they needed somebody to do it in-house. So I came up here and I opened a couple of hedge funds for them, and I was there for 5 years.
I am a big action movie fan. I love narcos and drug stories and all that kind of stuff. Max, I got to admit, when I had the idea of doing this little food podcast in Sacramento, that was not a story I saw coming. To actually have someone come to you and say, not if you get kidnapped, but when you get kidnapped, just fight him. It's not worth staying alive. I wish we had video for that, the one time I've said that on this, but my jaw was on the floor. I have never heard that actual conversation actually happen in real life. And for Patricio to go through that and still kind of have the wherewithal to think about his family and his wife and his life going forward and make the jump up here, so glad he did it. But that was just absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah. I mean, you just heard it. It was wild. And to also, to even going back before that, growing up as a sort of young professional in a place where it wasn't safe to go out to restaurants with your friends. And so then food became this connector, as it often is, where he just gets the French Laundry cookbook and starts putting together big coursed out dinners for friends and family and staying up late and drinking wine. Like, what a blast. I mean, that kind of says everything you need to know, I feel like, about Patricio, which is just sort of like, I have an idea, I want to do it, I'm going to make it happen. He makes it happen. And that is also, as we're going to hear in a little bit, kind of the story of Nick's Taco.
And kudos to his wife for having his back through everything he's wanted to do. I think she deserves a great applause in this for being like the ultimate teammate and having his back through everything.
So Patricio came up to Sacramento, not to start a restaurant, right? Sold the steakhouse he had in Mexico, moved up to start basically a hedge fund here in Sacramento. Did that for about 5 years. Also never saw that coming, that this guy, you all just heard in the interview that he had a whole long history and background in finance, and he's making some of the best food in Sacramento now, only about a decade later. But moved to Sacramento, started these funds, eventually got out of it, had the idea for Nick's Taco, and really staying true to this core belief of like simple, real, nixtamalized corn tortillas with braised meat tacos. And we're going to jump right back into the interview with him talking about where it all started, he, his wife, in a Sprinter van, and it's pretty cool that we get to eat at these two fantastic places today and where he went from there. So let's jump back into the interview and get into the part about Nick's Tacos. So you were mentioning before we got on that the Nick's Taco concept started with basically just you in a Sprinter van and some equipment and pop-ups. And your wife.
My wife's yes.
Was this restaurant you're talking about, did you open a restaurant before sort of considering the Nick's Taco concept and going that way, or was the beginning of the restaurant the Sprinter van and the pop-ups?
That was the beginning. We partnered with a brand coach and content creator from Mexico, and we created the brand. We analyzed if it was worthy to hire somebody local and teach them the concept, or hiring somebody who knows the concept because it's ingrained in them and teach them the market. So we decided that it was easier for them to learn the market than to teach the concept to somebody that has never seen it.
Yeah.
And so much of food is about as we talk about, it's that moment you think about your mom making it for you. You can't coach that. Yeah. You can't teach that. You can teach someone this corner is good for a restaurant, but Now, were you when you were thinking about the restaurant, did you want to bring recipes from home? Did you want to be hybrid? What were your initial thoughts going into it?
It started with just 6 different tacos, and they were all braces. There was this restaurant in LA, I don't know if they're still there, Guisados, that we took inspiration from. And it's all braces, and it's all a la carte, so you pick one of these, and it resonated because it brought me back to the taco cart in the streets of my hometown, where you walk up and you say, 1 chicharrón, 1 machacado, 1 barbacoa. And then you get a plate, and then you pay, and you walk away. So the whole idea was to replicate a taco cart in a sit-down environment. Order at the counter. That the bar exists. My idea was for people to sit down and have a beer and 1 taco, and then order another one and then another. And people don't do that. That's the reality. I mean, some people might, but the market, people want to get in, eat, and get out.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. That's fine. But that's how it all started in my head. And it's evolved into what it is now. We're full service, and we're full bar. We have a great cocktail program, and you can course it out if you want. We have the menu. You can order appetizers, and you can order a couple of tacos, and you can order something else. I mean, and then you can have dessert. So it really evolved over the course of time.
You mentioned your wife in this as a huge backbone to you. Did she have any food experience, or was she just lovingly following you and supporting your hopes and dreams?
I think it's the latter, yeah.
Okay, good for her. That's a keeper right there.
Oh, yeah.
So what's her story? What does she do? She's from your hometown as well?
She's from my hometown. We met there. We got married there. She's a communications major. She used to be a semi-professional dancer.
Oh, wow.
Lyrical and classical ballet. And she pretty much helps me run the restaurant, the people aspect of it. All of the marketing, the communications, she takes care of that. We pretty much just come up with a plan, and then she creates all the content.
She executes.
And executes on the marketing aspect.
That's awesome.
And so the nixtamal process and the sort of different tortillas and different corn, was that part of the original idea as well? Out of the spring, that was one of the core.
It sounds like the foundation.
Yeah,
it was the foundation, and that's how the name was created after the fact, not the other way. We didn't start nixtamalizing because the name was Nixtaco. It's Nixtaco because the whole idea was to make our own tortillas from nixtamal. When I was building the menu, going back to your question about what we wanted to serve at the beginning, and it all started with chicharrón and salsa verde, which is pork cracklings rehydrated in a braise, essentially. And you make those pork cracklings from originally, or in Monterrey, they make them from the jowl. But here, you can't find jowl. It's very expensive. It's just for one chale. So I use pork belly instead. I like it a little bit better, if you ask me. It's not as fatty as jowl. Yeah. But it's very common over there. We have what we call Chicharrón de la Ramos. La Ramos the Ramos meat company is a butcher house, and you go there to buy steaks for your carne asada, and they have chicharrones that you buy like if they're chips, right? And you usually get 2 bags, one for the road, one for the home.
Yeah.
And then you will take that and dice it and braise it and make chicharrón salsa verde. This is a very Monterrey thing. So it all started with that dish. And then, all right, even if I make an amazing chicharrón, I need a good tortilla, and I can't find good tortillas. Or even if I make an amazing anything, I started dissecting the taco to all of its ingredients, and it is my belief that any dish will only be as good as the worst quality ingredient that you put in there. Mm. So if you have a great contents of a taco and you put it on a tortilla that breaks, on a tortilla that tastes like cardboard, on a tortilla that doesn't add to it, you just diminish the entire dish. And then I remembered the nixtamalizing at home and the grinding, and I started looking into it. And I'm like, we're going to do that. We're going to do it at the restaurant. And I remember a local restaurateur who I won't name asked me, and have you crunched the numbers? How many tacos do you need to sell to make up all the money you're investing in those machines? I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, but you're a finance guy. I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't matter, because without that, the concept doesn't exist.
Mm. God, I love that.
This is like in life. You're only as strong as your weakest link, whether it's in your taco, on your team, in any way, shape, and form. Like, and I love that your detail is like, oh, don't worry about that little detail. No, all those details are important. Yeah, each one of those makes the whole thing. I love that approach.
Well, and I think too, anything that you're really putting some real heart into, if you compromise that, I mean, you're going to make some compromises along the way when you get into the market and what needs to be done. But ultimately, like those core ideas and those creative ideas and what's really important to you, if you sacrifice that at the very beginning, then...
Exactly. So we knew we were going to do that. And then because of that, the name was built around it. We're making tacos on nixtamal tortillas, nixtamal tacos, nixtaco. It's a portmanteau, really.
So then how hard was it to start getting different, obviously, corn is sort of a monocrop across the world, is been a large food and agricultural problem. How hard was it to find different types of corn to bring in and to source that as well, on top of just the machinery? But that's a big aspect of it, I know, as well.
Yeah. So lucky for us, this company called Macienda was just starting out. Macienda was started by Jorge Gaviria. They're huge now. And what they were doing at the time is that they were going to the homesteads in Mexico and offering to purchase all of their crops in futures. And then he'd go back to restaurants. At the time, all the high-end restaurants used his corn in the U.S., at least because he started importing it. So that hassle was taken away. That was the value added, right? And at the time, our Cosme was just opening in New York by Enrique Olvera. He was using their corn. Ray Garcia in LA was using their corn. And a lot of high-name people were using their corn. So I called them up and I'm like, hey, I'm opening up this concept. I'd like to use some of the blue corn that you guys offer. And they're like, well, I already sold all of it to Enrique for this year. I can get you some yellow to get you started. And then next year, I'll allocate some of the crop of the blue one to you. So the first couple of years, we bought what we could from the regions that we could. We preferred the one from Oaxaca, but sometimes we got Valle de Mexico. Sometimes we got Chiapas. It really depended on what was available at the time that we needed it also. Today, fortunately, we have a local farm growing it for us out of Pleasant Grove. Mr. Juan Barajas, the YOLO Food Whisperer, made that contact for us. He's a good friend of mine. Shout out to Juanito.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful species. It's organic. All the stuff from Mexico wasn't certified or organic because none of it is, because there is no GMO allowances to begin with.
Okay.
So everything is naturally organic. Here you have to have it certified. So we have certified organic. We've been using it for the last almost a year now, and we're super happy to be able to continue to support local farmers and following that ethos of using local produce, right?
Yeah. Man, that's so cool.
They know how much we use, and they assured me that
Every time you need it,
they'll have enough. Yeah, so we usually get them a pallet at a time.
I love that symbiosis between restaurants and farmers where you can just work with them. So the farmers know they have money coming in, and you know you have the product coming in. It just works so nicely together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really more and more. I think there's a huge importance in that in the restaurant industry for restaurants to control costs and farmers to be able to stay in business. Like
especially now with rising costs and the big box companies controlling pretty much the costs.
Right.
You have the Cisco's and the PFGs and the US Foods and all those guys just bringing it from wherever is the cheapest.
Right.
And then still maybe gouging the restaurants.
Yeah, sure.
And this is why most restaurants, it's the same food. I mean, if you think about it, because they're
picking off a giant checklist from Cisco of what they can even
It's prepackaged, it's pre-cut, it's pre-made, it's pre-whatever. And this guy uses the same canned sauce that this guy uses, and the same tortillas that this guy uses, and the same. I mean, it's really important that we as restaurants support our local ecosystem, and that includes the farmers, obviously, as well.
And there's also no reason not to. We're not in the Rocky Mountains.
No,
we're in arguably the greatest fertile valley.
Right. This is the greatest farming piece of land in the world, if you ask me.
Yeah. There's no reason to do that. No, I mean, I loved when I was at Camden and now at Waterboy. I love when the mushroom guy comes or someone comes from Patrick's Berry Farm and they're not coming in this big old semi. They got an old 98 Ford Ranger they're driving up, pulling bales out of the back, and he'll toss me a blackberry. I'm like, this was the best blackberry I've ever had.
Yeah.
And it's just from a few feet away. I think from a server point of it too, like, I like to bring that up when someone orders the chanterelle parpadelle. It's like, hey, we just got those 4 hours ago. Like,
they're spectacular.
And you just see the people light up and be like, oh my God, that's so cool. I'm like, yeah, you're eating your region right now. Yeah. You're not getting this from LA or Iowa or Florida. And I love that aspect. And seeing people bright up and be like, yeah, that's how cool your area is.
So how was the concept received at first? I mean, we talked a little bit when you first got here about people's probably first impression of that location in Roseville is like, well, that's a weird spot for a place to be so successful. Even though it has a ton of traffic, visual traffic, it's not in a spot really that near a lot of other restaurants. And then you're doing, what's basically like a high-end taco concept. And when people are so accustomed to,
not that.
Street tacos.
Not that. Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Taqueria. Right.
Yeah. And that was part of the... So the first couple of years were hard. The first 6 months were really hard. We almost closed a couple times. We were able to make it through every time. And but the reception, because we did such a great job through social media when we first opened, even though there's a lot of traffic like we were mentioning earlier, but it's kind of like hidden away in a corner.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of trees in the front that pretty much hate the signs. Like you couldn't see it unless you were looking for it. However, we did open with a bang because of all the traction we had done through the pop-ups on the farmers markets and the social media promotion that we had in that year leading into the opening. When we first named it was Nick's Taco Mexican Taqueria, and it was my thought. I wanted to be very clear that we sold tacos.
Right.
That we weren't a Zócalo or something that was already existing as a Mexican restaurant, that we didn't have combination platters and stuff like that. Later, I found that to be detrimental because it said taqueria, and people imagine something when it says taqueria.
Right.
So we started getting a lot of complaints, and I didn't understand why until I started asking some of the regulars, like, hey, what do you think is the issue with this? And what do you think is the issue with that? And well, when people see taqueria, they imagine the same ones that you see, the Garibaldis and the Jalisco and all of those. and you don't have that menu. So you immediately disappoint them. Like, okay, yeah, it's about expectation. So we changed it to Mexican kitchen.
Okay.
And now we're at Distillery as well, but that came years later. Still, it was different by design, and some people were not getting it. They were like, well, I don't like it. It's different. I once had a lady say to me, I don't like the tortillas. They're too corny. Like, yeah, you should laugh. This was
Fair.
With a full restaurant, right when the music stopped, to my face, very loud because the music was going. And then when it stopped, the tortillas are too corny. And I almost felt like having a small stroke. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to say. Like, thank you. I'm
Right.
sorry. And that's exactly what I said. I said, I'm sorry. I mean, I'll say thank you because there's nothing in there but corn.
Right.
I'm very sorry that you don't like them, but we go through a lot of work for them to be exactly that.
So sorry, but that's the best compliment I've gotten since we opened.
Yeah.
Or try the flour tortillas. No.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Tell us a little bit about some of the recipes you have on the menu now and
The evolution of them.
Yeah, the evolution, your connection, developing them.
So during those early years, we only had, like I said, we started with 6 braces or guisados. And then people started asking about Taco Tuesday. And I had no idea what that was.
That's right. I
I was
forgot
gonna say,
one.
I don't think that's a Mexican thing.
I had zero clue. So because of that, when people ask about Taco Tuesday, I'm like, what? It's Taco Day here every day. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Until somebody said, no, people are asking for something special. Well, that's what I heard. What they meant was they were asking for a special, for a discount.
Right.
But instead I started doing something special every Tuesday. And those tacos evolved into what are now the signature tacos.
Okay.
The pork belly, which competed in Bacon Fest and won. The roadkill, same situation. The combination that was invented not by accident, but by coincidence, I should say. It was Saturday morning, 11, we were about to open. I was working the line. I hadn't slept because we got slammed on Friday. And we had to stay prepping all night. And I was thinking, I need to eat something before we open. And there was a line out the door, and they were about to open the doors. And I hadn't eaten anything. And I thought, if I don't eat something right now, I'm going to faint in about an hour. So I grabbed a tortilla, and I grabbed a little bit of rajas, a little bit of shrimp, a little bit of chicharron, a couple of sauces. I went in the back, and I downed it by the sink like we usually do.
Yep.
And that was really good.
I was like, wait a minute, I got something here.
So that was on Saturday. So that was next week's Taco Tuesday special. And eventually they all started staying either as a secret option that people would verbalize, like, hey, can you make that one again? And some things we could, like that one we could because we had all the mise en place there. But like the pork belly, we couldn't. We had to prep for it. The same with the roadkill because yes, it was born out of utilization, but it's not made and used anywhere else. So all of those signature tacos were born as a Taco Tuesday special until we had enough that we couldn't fit more on the piece of paper or on the mise en place line. So we stopped doing
Yeah,
Taco
at some point your
Tuesday
kitchen
special.
is only so big.
Yeah. Were any of those recipes directly from home, or any of them you calling up mom and saying, hey, what was that? How did grandma
Not
make
to the
that?
letter, but they were all inspired in the
Yeah,
flavors.
sure.
The way that I like to explain it, if you've never been there, what's this menu? I'm like, well, this is a representation of the flavors that you could find at my favorite taco carts and restaurants in Monterrey. Of the flavors, not the
Right.
dishes, because you won't find a glazed smoked pork belly with chipotle star anise honey, but the flavors are there.
I love the way that you described it. The flavors are there. I'm not saying it's the exact dish, but this is let you experience yourself. I love that approach to it.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the distillery and that not transition, but just whole new project.
Yeah. So
Evolution.
Yeah.
I got that opportunity 2019. We signed the lease to expand, and again, it was supposed to be a not so expensive project. Became extremely expensive because it's a distillery, so we had to protect the room for explosions and fires.
Those little things.
Yeah. Right.
So we had
No big deal.
So we had to. The complicated part is that it was a retro build, so we had to build the drywall all the way to the roof, through the rafters. So it was very slow and convoluted. Thankfully, after COVID started in 2020, when we started the build out, nobody wanted to work, and it was everything was slow and nobody wanted to be with other people. So the build out took enough time, pretty much the entirety of the 18 months that we were closed for the pandemic. We were ready to reopen the restaurant, and the distillery was done and licensed. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to time it so we reopen it with a full bar program. Because the license that we have, if we have a bona fide food operation on the premises, gives us a privilege to. Actually, it's not a privilege. It's a requirement. I have to serve other people's liquors as well.
Okay.
Oh.
Man, Neill, so much of that sounded so delicious. We went into Nick's Tacos to get to experience it for ourselves. I can confirm the tortillas, very corny, not too corny, in my opinion. You, however, cannot confirm because you, for some reason, did what?
For some reason, let's be honest. First of all, tacos are fantastic up there, regardless of the flour or the corn. And I was just being the yin to your yang when it came to tortillas.
All right. To be clear, Neill ordered the flour tortillas instead of the corn tortillas. But hey, they're on the menu for a reason, and they were delicious, right? So neither here nor there. But yeah, the food was phenomenal. The drinks were phenomenal. The thing I think I love about it most, and we talked about it there in the interview, is just how we came into that section of just Patricio was like, here's what I'm going to do, you know? And this is a guy who comes from a very cerebral background, super smart, by the numbers, and this was like, this is what I'm going to do. I don't really care. People tell me it doesn't make sense. It's the food I want to serve. It's how I want to serve it. And, you know, he made little concessions here and there according to the market, but he's like, no, we're making our own corn tortillas. We're braising all our own meat.
No, and I just love that, like, he did it not only his way, but as we were just talking, he did it the right way. We all saw Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And he did it the right way, and that is why it's working, even off up in, you know, like we said, up in Roseville and out in Folsom, not even in downtown Sacramento. But I make special trips out there just for that meats and those tacos because he's doing it the right way, and it's delicious.
It is. It's absolutely phenomenal. So one of the parts of the story we didn't get to that I also found amazing was that Patricio bought that restaurant off of Craigslist. He literally saw the ad for Craigslist for this Thai restaurant just down the street from where he lived, and he called the guy, and within a week, the deal was done. And this was after doing some farmers markets and our street markets and some brewery pop-ups in the Sprinter van, got himself his brick and mortar, started the taqueria. Here we are over a decade later with the distillery. The other thing that Patricio has become known for is his overall involvement in the Sacramento culinary community, all the other chefs he's bonded with now, farmers he's bonded with, friends he has. So let's jump in and hear a little bit more about Patricio and his place and kind of the larger Sacramento culinary ecosystem.
The culinary community, I think we're pretty closely knit together. I mean, the people who I would call the culinary leaders of Sacramento, I'm very happy to call my friends, very proud, and to be part of that group. They let me in. I'm crazy Mexican. And it's impactful for sure because there's all these events, right? And I decided to get involved with all those events that happen on a behind-the-scenes production role in whatever capacity, because I believe that all that brings the community together. It showcases the restaurants, it showcases the chefs, it gives diversity of options to the public, it educates the public, and it allows for more innovation. And all that creates a better space to live in. If you ask me, I mean, I want to live in a city that offers more than the same,
right?
And where everybody is happy to do so and not afraid to introduce a new concept because I don't know if I'll make it. I'm very happy to be involved with all the events that are ongoing. The Bridge Dinner, Terra Madre just happened.
That's right.
It's happening again next year.
Is that going to be in Sacramento again?
Yeah, Terra Madre is happening every other year until I think it's 2033, the contract.
Oh, okay.
But we did such a good job last year that we're very, I mean, Slow Food International people were so pleased with the results for the first time. I mean, not just pleased, they were amazed, really, like in awe of how well it was executed and pulled off, and there's just room for growth there. And it was it was a great festival, I thought. The panels were amazing.
I heard nothing but 5-star reviews from every walk of life. Everyone said it was phenomenal. And it also like us all being in the, the industry, it's not surprising because it's like, we've gotten to see behind the scenes. And like you said, you've name dropped 30 names so far, which I absolutely love about the whole community here that has been at your side and helping you and pushing you forward. And I just think that's so cool. And then being able to show the world that that's what we are. We're not just the cow town where the Kings try to play basketball.
I won't give an opinion on that because I don't know any. I mean, I don't follow the sport, so
you're not missing anything.
Reason to follow this.
God. Anyway,
You mentioned that as a younger man, a big part of your sort of life and identity was outdoor stuff. What do you like to do outside the kitchen? Is that still a part? Sacramento's got a lot of good, within driving distance outdoorsy things to do.
I love anything outdoors. I was never really a team sport guy. Like, a lot of people play soccer all their lives or basketball. I was always into rock climbing or mountain biking or mountain climbing or skiing, cycling, running. So I'm a big skier. I'm on my bike as often as I can. So any long distance endurance sport, I used to do ultra running. Ironman. I busted my knee skiing, so I haven't really been running much for the last 2 years. But I think I'm getting back into it this year.
You want a rapid fire?
No, I got a couple good rapid fire for him though, so I'm ready.
All right, about those.
What's your favorite cheap guilty pleasure?
In-N-Out.
Oh,
Nice.
Quick and easy. I like that.
Yeah.
What's the first dish you cooked out of the French Laundry cookbook?
That first dinner, it was all French Laundry dishes.
Oh, so
wow.
So elaborate on those.
The one that gave me the most trouble was the poached salmon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was that?
It's a poached salmon in olive oil, in citrus marinated, and then it's plated on top of citrus supremes. It's very good, but I had a lot of trouble controlling the oil temperature. It was overcooking, and it had to marinate overnight, and I was doing it in the afternoon off. So, I mean,
that's fine.
I probably should have read the recipes
Hey,
a week before.
Right.
Not reading it as I'm cooking it.
Well, what I did is I got the ingredients list and I got everything.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Little did we know it took time after that.
What's your favorite dish to cook at home today?
Steak, grilled steak. Easy.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. I like it.
And then with the leftovers, I make cortadillo.
What's that?
It's a braise. I mean, you take the leftover. I usually go for ribeye. So you take the leftover ribeye and dice it, brown it, and then you braise it in a rich sauce made from dried chiles, tomato, onion, garlic, cumin, and you just let it simmer until it thickens, and then you make tacos with that.
Anything braised, I am a sucker for.
Man.
Like that is my favorite way to consume anything. What's something that your mom made that takes you back in time? Like what's a bite that your mom made that you try to replicate?
Her flan.
Flan.
Yeah.
Do you do that at the restaurant?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not her recipe though because she uses gelatin, and that's cheating. I asked her once, how do you get I mean, this is a home oven. How do you get it? There's no bubbles. The texture is perfect and tears. And she's like, well, I can't tell you. I'm like, come on, well, I use one of these. I'm like, oh, that's cheating.
Mom. She pulled the curtain back on you for that one. That's funny.
What's a place in Sacramento that doesn't have a lot of press at this point or maybe get a lot of love that you'd love to sort of highlight or point out?
Oh, well, I mean, you put me, I can't say one and not everybody else, right?
There's this little spot called Nick's Taco.
No, I'd say apart from the usual suspects, which are to all my friends to mention, Chicha Peruvian cuisine. Giancarlo he's a really great guy. He makes really, really good Peruvian cuisine. They have a spot in Roseville and they have a spot in Midtown.
I just went there like 2 weeks ago. And it was phenomenal. My in-laws are out in Roseville, and they knew about it, and they had us meet them there, and it was.
I had that for New Year's Day. They were open, so we ordered DoorDash.
Yeah, it's great, and it's that's a perfect shout out because it's unique. It's something you don't.
It is right up the street.
Yeah, something
it's
you don't see a lot of.
Yeah, it's on Sunrise right before Kirby.
Yeah,
the Roseville one, and then the Midtown is on 16th, and I forget the cross street.
Peruvian. I don't know if I could point out Peruvian food.
Yeah, that's why it's interesting.
Yeah. I'm all the way in. Yeah, I love trying new things. Like, educate me like you like to do. Like, show me where you're from and what food is like from there.
And he does a great job.
Awesome.
Cool.
We'll get him on soon then.
All right.
Perfect. Well, I that was phenomenal, and I'm starving now. So
Yeah,
and
Patricio,
we've had Nick's Taco scrolling on the screen up here too.
Patricio, thank you so much for being here. It was
Yeah,
really
thank you
great
for
to have
having
you
me.
on.
I hope it was worth it, and
Beyond, yes.
and that you guys produce something cool.
Well, I am actually currently not in Sacramento right now. I am up in Tahoe spending the night. But now that we're doing this, I think I'm going to hit Nick's Taco on the way home tomorrow because, like I said, it's on my way home and it's a little bit out of the way. So I think that might be my stop on my way home to have a little treat.
It is a treat, man. It is so delicious. And you know what? So many of these places, we talk to the chef, I go eat, I feel connected to the food. This one more than any other place, just because of knowing Patricio's story. And that, you know, by all rights, most restaurants don't survive. Most restaurants never happen. And I think we mentioned it somewhere there in the interview, but just Nick's Taco for Sacramento, at least, is like singular. And there's a lot of really good places in Sacramento doing the sort of farm to fork California cuisine. It's all super delicious, but you and I have even talked about it that, you know, there's a handful of places where you can go and you're going to see a lot of very similar things on the menu. And then you go to Nick's Taco and you're just like, I recognize it. I've got chicken mole, I've got al pastor, but it all just has these amazing twists and hits on it, along with many other things that maybe you've never seen before, in a perfect corn or flour tortilla, if you like. And it's a special, special spot we have here in town.
It is, and I am so glad it's there. And it's also one of those things we are so used to the Pacific side of California cuisine, and he is bringing us more of the Caribbean Eastern side of it, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Now you've heard the story. You know why the food is as sort of unique as it is and as delicious as it is. So it was an absolute pleasure to have Patricio on. And, man, I can't wait for the next guest we get to have on the podcast.
Me too, and as usual, I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we're finishing this up at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm sad that they're not open. I might have to go find a Maya's Taco that's open in a pop-up tent somewhere with some pork on a spit. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Dine 16. Please follow us on Instagram. That's where you'll find the initial links and drops of new episodes, what we have coming up next. You can email us, max@dine16.com, or Neill, Neill, @dine16.com. You can go to the website. That's a really easy way to share this episode with friends and family. Just send them the website. They can play it right from there. They can subscribe. They can click a link to YouTube, whatever it may be. It's dine16.com. All the episodes are there. That's a really easy way to share the show around for people, which we would really appreciate. Pull that link, drop that URL on your own social media, let people know they should check out the show. Our opening and closing theme music are by Mark Owens. The Dine 16 is a production of the Hear Me Now studio here in Sacramento. We've got a whole bunch of guests already recorded in the can. Neill and I are going to work hard to get them edited, cut up, and put together so you all can hear from these amazing chefs and people working in the restaurant industry as we come into the busy summertime, connect you to that food of Sacramento, and allow you to have just a little extra joy and connection when you go out for your next meal here in town. So until then, as we always say, eat something you love with someone you love.